The papyrus, putting on my table every month. I don't wanna be sad. Don't even try to hide it. No, I don't wanna lose it. And you say how it is, it's so inviting. The papyrus, we're all so alive. The papyrus.
We bring you the Papyrus TV news update. You're welcome. The headlines. Church at a crossroads as Cardinals prepare for conclave to choose successor to Pope Francis. FG begins grassroots campaign to sell tax reforms to Nigerians. FG orders full probe into NSCDC officers in Ekiti over extortion. INEC reform gains momentum as lawmakers push for unbundling and constitutional changes. PDP dissolves Bayelsa and Edo Excos over crisis, appoints new caretaker committees. Lagos APC announces nomination fees, conditions for July council polls. Bago unleashes Operation Flush on Mina hoodlums, declares personal war on thugs. The details. As black clothes hang over Vatican flags and solemn hymns echo across Catholic dioceses worldwide, the global church prepares for a historic moment, the election of a new pope. The death of Pope Francis has brought not just mourning, but a pivotal reckoning with the future of a religious institution facing the twin pressures of internal ideology division and external secular decline. Inside the Vatican, the ancient ritual of the papal conclave is about to unfold. Behind the locked doors of the Sistine Chapel, cardinals will cast secret ballots in a centuries-old process believed to be guided by divine inspiration. Yet, while the white smoke and Latin chants remain unchanged, the questions facing the next pope are anything but traditional. Among the leading papabili is Francis Cardinal Jean-Marc Aveline, seen by many as a continuation of Francis's inclusive approach. Elevated just 3 years ago, the Marseille Archbishop is championed for his deep theology and interfaith sensitivity. Aveline's European roots and reformist bent may appeal to cardinals looking for stability amid stormy ecclesial waters. Yet others may favor Hungary's Cardinal Peter Erdo, a doctrinal hardliner and a vocal critic of liberal shifts on issues like same-sex unions. His election would mark a return to the church's conservative base, a corrective course after a decade of Francis's progressive policies. Italy's Cardinal Pietro Parolin, with his seasoned diplomatic hand, sits at the nexus of pragmatism and legacy. His involvement in the China-Vatican deal and status as Secretary of State give him formidable weight in Vatican corridors. From Asia, Cardinal Lucius Antoni Tagle is seen as the heir to Francis's humility and empathy. His grassroots charisma and leadership in evangelization make him a favorite among reform-minded cardinals eager to reflect the dynamism of the global South. Cardinal Matteo Rupi of Bologna, another progressive voice, has drawn attention for his social justice work and openness to marginalized communities. His election would be a statement of modern outreach. Africa's rising influence is symbolized by two starkly different figures, Cardinal Fridolin Ambongo, a moderate with social conscience, and Cardinal Robert Sarah, a traditionalist whose staunch defense of liturgical orthodoxy makes him beloved by Catholic conservatives. Meanwhile, Cardinal Mark Ole, despite his advanced age, retains the loyalty of Roman insiders and theological conservatives. Malta's Mario Grech rounds out the field, a centrist who has edged towards more inclusive positions in recent years. This conclave is not merely about theology, it is about geography, demographics, and vision. With the West's churches thinning and the global South burgeoning, the next pope may very well emerge from the very regions once considered mission fields. But no matter whom emerges on the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, the successor to Pope Francis will inherit a deeply polarized church grappling with modernity, relevance, and unity. Progressively, the federal government is shifting gears on its ambitious tax reform agenda by taking the conversation directly to the people. In Lafia, the capital of Nasarawa State, senior presidential aide Abiodun Esiet led a community engagement session aimed at demystifying the controversial tax reform bill and garnering honest feedback from diverse local stakeholders. Esiet, who is the President's Special Assistant on Community Engagement, North Central, explained that the reform is not just a technocratic exercise, but a people-centered attempt to simplify tax compliance, foster entrepreneurship, and ease the burden on low-income earners. Speaking to an audience of youths, business leaders, and religious heads, she highlighted the bill's plan to eliminate multiple taxation, a major grievance for Nigerian businesses, while exempting individuals earning 800,000 or less annually from any income tax. This reform is bold and compassionate, she said. It is designed to give breathing space to small businesses and protect the vulnerable. Stakeholders were urged to treat the session not as a lecture, but as a dialogue. All contributions, Esiet assured, would be forwarded to the Federal Inland Revenue Service and other implementing agencies. The community engagement strategy signals the Tinubu administration's effort to build legitimacy and consensus around economic reforms that could otherwise spark resistance, especially in a country where mistrust in government policy is high. By prioritizing grassroots inclusion, the administration hopes to preempt political backlash and make a strong case for progressive taxation as a catalyst for job creation and enterprise growth. Meanwhile, the federal government has launched a full investigation into allegations that officers of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps (NSCDC) extorted 5.2 million naira from a group of young men traveling from Ado-Ekiti to Akure. The incident, which went viral on social media, has triggered widespread outrage. Minister of Interior Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo ordered an immediate inquiry, vowing that justice will be served. We are building a disciplined paramilitary. Any officer found guilty will face the law. We will not tolerate misconduct, the minister said through his spokesperson. The NSCDC, which operates under the Ministry of Interior, has recently faced scrutiny for unchecked behavior among its ranks. This incident risks further eroding public trust in security institutions. Tunji-Ojo's swift response is an attempt to reassure Nigerians that the era of impunity is over and that internal accountability structures are now being taken serious. In another development, Nigeria's long-delayed electoral reform is gathering pace as lawmakers move to restructure the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) and overhaul key constitutional provisions governing elections. At the center of the reform effort is the proposal to unbundle INEC, transferring non-core duties like political party registration and prosecution of electoral offenses to new agencies. A bill currently before the House of Representatives seeks to create the Political Parties Registration and Regulation Commission and the Electoral Offences Commission. These bodies would manage party conduct and enforce electoral laws, freeing INEC to focus solely on running elections. Lawmakers like Marcos Onobun, PDP Edo, and Babajimi Benson, APC Lagos, argued that INEC has become overburdened. We must separate the functions. INEC cannot continue to register, monitor, and regulate parties while conducting national elections, Onobun said during the debate. The reform has roots in older reports, including the 2014 National Conference and the WIRES Committee on Electoral Reform, both of which recommended splitting INEC's powers. Civil society groups, political parties, and international observers have backed the move, citing persistent lapses in electoral administration. INEC Chairman Mahmood Yakubu recently added urgency to the debate, citing the cost and complexity of Nigeria's frequent by-elections. He proposed allowing political parties to nominate successors without new elections if a seat becomes vacant, a method used in some U.S. states. Another pending bill seeks to amend the Constitution to require presidential and governorship candidates to win more than 50% of total votes cast, introducing a runoff system. Proponents argue it will ensure more legitimate mandates and reflect the multi-party nature of Nigeria's evolving democracy. Other proposals include enabling diaspora voting, early voting for election workers, and removing immunity for certain public officials. A more radical option, now under quiet discussion, would revert Nigeria to a parliamentary system by creating the office of Prime Minister and Head of Government, distinct from the ceremonial president. Despite broad support, past attempts to pass such reforms have faltered, especially in the House of Representatives, where bills have often stalled or been watered down. The failure of the Ninth Assembly to pass the Electoral Offences Commission bill is a recent example. This time, reformers are banking on the increased public awareness, bipartisan backing, and political urgency to push the laws through. Still, opponents warn of institutional bloat and fear that multiplying commissions will only inflate costs without fixing root problems. But if implemented effectively, the reforms could redefine Nigeria's electoral landscape, giving it a sturdier foundation for credible, transparent democracy. In other news, the People's Democratic Party (PDP) has plunged into deeper internal turmoil in the South-South as the party's Zonal Working Committee (ZWC) on Tuesday, April 22nd, announced the dramatic dissolution of its Bayelsa State Working Committee (SWC), led by Solomon Agwanana, and replaced it with a caretaker committee chaired by the South-South Zonal Secretary, George Turner. This sweeping action was revealed in a statement signed by Zonal Publicity Secretary Prince Etim Isong, following a high-stakes ZWC meeting held at the PDP Zonal Secretariat in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. The move, according to Isong, was triggered by what the zonal leadership termed gross misconduct and the failed management of festering internal crises that have rocked the PDP in Bayelsa. In a similar vein, the PDP's caretaker committee in Edo State, earlier chaired by Tony Aziegbemi, was also dissolved and replaced with a new interim leadership under Nosa Ogieva. Isong said the dual shake-up was aimed at salvaging the party's image and enforcing constitutional discipline after a detailed review of the party's dismal performance, especially referencing the PDP's woeful outing in Edo's last governorship election. He cited sections of the 2017 amended PDP constitution, Articles 10, 26, 27, 58, and 59, as the legal framework backing the ZWC's drastic decision. The Bayelsa Caretaker Committee includes Tony Gabriel as Deputy Chairman, Ebilade Ekerefe as Secretary, and Didi Ebiakake Werila Bebofa as Vice Chairman for Central. Others appointed are Andy Majors, Vice Chairman East, Evelyn Boloebi Odi, Vice Chairman South, and Biopelemoye Ogoniwari, Treasurer. In Edo, Chief Sonny Okamayin assumes the deputy chairmanship. Hilary Otu becomes secretary, and Nose Iseleomon is vice chairman South. Ehisota Oriaki, Richard Ehimigbai, and Benjamin Ehilebodiaye complete the team as vice chairman for Central and North, and treasurer respectively. Isong expressed confidence that the ZWC's intervention would reinvigorate party structures and re-establish discipline, particularly ahead of future electoral contests. Furthermore, as preparations intensify for the July 12 local government elections in Lagos State, the All Progressives Congress (APC) on Tuesday unveiled its nomination and administrative fee structure for aspirants, drawing both anticipation and criticism over its financial barriers and inclusivity guidelines. According to the party's official election guidelines, co-signed by State Chairperson Pastor Cornelius Ojelabi and Secretary Dr. Adiola Jokomba, male chairmanship aspirants will pay a total of 5.5 billion naira, 5 million naira for the nomination form, and 500,000 as an administrative fee. Female aspirants will receive a concession, paying 3 million naira in total, with the nomination fee slashed to 2.5 million naira. Further youth-focused incentives were introduced. Aspirants under the age of 40 are entitled to a 50% discount on nomination fees, but will still pay the full administrative fee. Persons living with disabilities, PLWDs, will not pay any nomination fee and will only be charged 250,000 naira for administrative purposes for chairmanship races. For councillorship positions, male aspirants will pay 1.1 million naira in total, while female aspirants will pay just 350,000 naira. PLWDs pay only 50,000 naira in administrative fees for councillorship bids. To be eligible, aspirants must be Nigerian citizens, possess at least a secondary school certificate or its equivalent, and provide evidence of active party membership and loyalty. The party also emphasized that all aspirants must secure sponsorship from a minimum number of registered party members within their board or local council. Importantly, any party office holder intending to contest must resign at least 30 days before the primaries. Aspirants must sign a party code of conduct and undergo clearance by screening committee before being deemed eligible. Conclusively, in an extraordinary escalation of state-led enforcement, Governor Mohammed Umaru Bago of Niger State has declared an aggressive security crackdown on criminal elements terrorizing Minna, the state capital. At a tense security meeting on Tuesday, April 22nd at the Government House, which included traditional leaders and heads of all security agencies, the governor promised to lead Operation Flush himself, vowing not to spare any thug, sympathizer, or enabler. Governor Bago singled out Meitumbi, Angwandaji, and Barikinsale as hotspots, ordering intensified surveillance and enforcement in those communities. In his most radical directives yet, he warned that anyone caught with weapons, including knives or sticks, would be treated as an armed robber, and in the event of their death, their families would pay for the bullets used. In an extraordinary measure, he declared that anyone seeking bail for a thug should be arrested. Traditional leaders found harboring criminals will face dethronement and arrest, while any house selling illicit drugs will be demolished and its occupants jailed. A special court under the Chief Judge of Niger State will be established for rapid prosecution of thuggery-related offenses. Commercial motorcyclists, Okada, and tricycles, Keke Napep, are now banned from operating between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. within Minna. Vehicles caught transporting illegal drugs into the city will be confiscated and become government property. Bago's fiery resolve underscores a new era of no-nonsense security enforcement in Niger State, as he declared, "We can no longer sit back while criminals overrun our communities. This administration will ensure that no one is above the law."
The papyrus, hoodie on my table every month. I don't